Hi, my name is Myra Tanksley, and I am recording this on December the 5th, 2014. Just a little background. I have a 21-year-old son with autism who is illegally confined to a state of Ohio developmental center. The developmental center is named Columbus Developmental Center, and it is actually operated by the state of Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities. My son was illegally confined there per probate court of Franklin County, Ohio. I say illegally because you have to be moderately retarded to be involuntarily committed to that facility, and my son is not moderately retarded. He's high functioning autistic. Um, he has been just is subjected to just all kind of different abuses, neglect. I actually seen an audio tape him being attacked and punched in the chest and grabbed by a state of Ohio worker that still works there. Three co-workers also seen the same thing, but as usual, um, they won't report it. They'll deny it. There's just a code of silence in the system where the courts, the attorneys, the government, the employees, other agencies, um, as far as my son's concerned, they have denied his abuse. They won't even acknowledge it. But I do have a Facebook page that shows some of what I'm talking about. It's called The Abuse and Neglect of Autistic Marquis December by the Government. And I have reached out to the Injustice Department to let them know about this. I have uh, sent them a lot of reports and complaints of how my son's human rights, constitutional rights, and civil rights are being violated by the state of Ohio. Now, there's a law that they are supposed to enforce called the CRIPA law. CRIPA means Civil Rights of Institutionalized Person Acts. And it's to ensure that individuals in institutions like jails or facilities or something like that where they're um, basically um, under the uh, a governmental body or system, and I'm talking about the Injustice Department, are supposed to ensure that. Now, they have a thing that they always tell people: we don't do individual cases. But I beg to differ because there's no such thing as an individual case in an institution. If it's happening to that resident or patient or inmate or whatever, it's happening to others that are like them. Now, I'm not saying that every resident over at CDC is being abused and neglected my son, but I'm saying others that would be like him. And they don't respect his disability of autism. They don't know how to manage it. They don't know what it is. And, he is constantly uh, triggered by the environment. He's been abused by staff and assaulted. He's been abused and assaulted by other residents. And this has been going on for 2 years. And everybody denies it. I didn't expect the state of Ohio to do anything because it's a state of Ohio facility. But the problem is when you got the Injustice Department kicking this thing back to uh, other agencies in Ohio, uh, it's a problem because all of these people protect each other. At least everybody I reported it to. They won't even acknowledge it. Ohio Highway Patrol, Disability Rights Ohio, which is supposed to be the protection and advocacy um, agency for people with disabilities. I sent them the tape of my son being assaulted and punched and attacked. They first told me, and I have it, on tape. The girl told me she didn't hear nothing on the tape. But then when I called back and told them, wait a minute, I know I gave you a tape with the copy of that incident. And then the attorney called back, yeah, we heard it and stuff. But they all said it's unsubstantiated. even though you can hear the thug admitting to putting his hands on my son. Because I said, oh, you punched him. He said, oh, I grabbed him by the shirt, which is assault in itself. He wasn't going to say, well, yeah, I punched him. But he didn't even know I was standing there. That was God's handiwork, because he wouldn't have done what he did if he knew I was standing there. Now, I wasn't standing close enough, but I was standing, well, I wasn't standing right up on Marquis, but I'm going to say I was standing close enough to get all the voices. You could hear my son, you can hear him, and I was able to see him punch my son. And I also was able to hear the thump, because it was like a thug when he hit him in his chest. And so nothing was done about it. He still works there. The co-workers still work there. It just seemed like disabled people like my son are forgotten victims by everybody. And I'm not blaming society. I'm blaming the government. The government is doing this to my son, and then the government that's supposed, the federal government that's supposed to ensure that my son has rights, is ignoring it. I done sent all kind of reports with evidence, email reports, to special litigation section of DOJ. Haven't heard anything back, really. I've sent it to ADA, which is a part of the Department of Injustice. They said send it to Disability Rights Ohio. Well, Disability Rights Ohio is ignoring it because they have a close working relationship with the state of Ohio. Yeah, they used to be Ohio agency, and then they changed their name. But it just seemed like, my son is a forgotten victim. And just because he's autistic doesn't make him any less than another human being. And just because he's in a government facility doesn't mean that he shouldn't be treated like a human being. Because that place is so full of corruption because you don't have any accountability and oversight. And they know it. This stuff been going on for decades. And it probably goes on all across America in other DD centers, developmental disability centers, or developmental centers, or whatever they might call them in different places and stuff. But, where's his rights? They took his life. They took his liberty. They took his happiness. He sure ain't had no justice. He's not happy. And this tape that I'm going to play for you is when I called him yesterday on December the 4th, 2014. As I heard him in the background because he sounded like he was upset. And usually they don't let me talk to him, but there was another guy on, and he didn't know that, so he put me over to him on the unit that they have him on. And I heard my son in the background. As soon as he got on the phone, he started telling me how noisy it was, and oh, it just breaks your heart. I shouldn't have, as a mother, have to see my son physically assaulted and abused and neglected and emotionally distressed. He's not safe there physically. He's not safe there emotionally. And that's his rights. I got the Bill of Rights from the facility that I'm going to be posting also on a Facebook page. I actually got 2 Facebook pages now. One is Justice for Autistic Marquis, and the other one, like I said, was Abuse and Neglect of Autistic Marquis Tanksley by the government. Because disabled lives matter. But it's like that he's thrown away in some state institution someplace, being treated like crap. Because I'm an evidence girl, and anybody want to challenge, not a slimy lawyer in this country can challenge me on how my son's been treated. And I haven't kept the evidence back. I actually got, like I said, a page of evidence on Facebook. Pictures. I have audio tapes. I have documents of how they had treated my son. So with this tape, you'll hear him just express how awful it is that he, because they always try to put a wedge between me and my son, and they always say, well, he escalates when he talks to you or sees you, which is a lie. I said, because he's never mad at me. he's venting to me. I said, he vents to me, not because of me. But like I said, I haven't seen anybody in the system, from the corrupt judges and courts and agencies and lawyers, all the way down to the employees, the direct care employees that know about autism. I have yet to see it. If they knew about it, they wouldn't say the things they have said to me. My son wouldn't be uh, constantly abused and neglected and assaulted like he's been. So I know nobody knows about autism. And then another thing he liked to say, well, it's quiet over there. I said, well, you don't go by your perception. If the autistic person says it's noisy, it's noisy. Because that's what they're basing their overload on, is what they feel. You have to get in their world. I said, you never go by what you perceive, because you're not autistic. You don't have that nervous system that they have. You don't have the brain, the sensory problems that they have. So I went ahead and tried to comfort my son. I'm a Christian, he's a Christian, but he was more interested in venting to me. Mom, get me out of this hellhole. Mom, it's too noisy. I heard cussing. I miss you. I love you. And they were telling him to calm down. But he was already upset. And when I first called over there, before they put him on the phone, you can actually hear him, because I heard him. I said, that's my son. I hear my son in the background. And then the boy said, you want to talk to your mom? But they try to always make us dysfunctional. I said, no, my son loves me. And he'll tell you he loves mom. He'll tell you he missed mom, because he tells me. And he tells me right on this tape. But I'm a victim in this too, because I love my child just like they love their kids or grandkids or whatever they got in their life. And I shouldn't have to hear this stuff and see my son suffer like this. So disabled lives do matter. And, you know, I know all the stuff that's going on with law enforcement. And yeah, it's a crooked system. But the legal system in this country is a disgrace. And that's the reason why you got these other countries saying America's hypocritical. China always says it every time they do the human rights reports and stuff. But Russia and North Korea said it. You trying to tell us about human rights, and you got your own citizens being treated like second-class citizens. You got all those racial problems. But I say that this country is discriminatory on a lot of levels. It's not just race. It could be age. It could be gender. And definitely disability. Because they don't try to accommodate him over there. 2 years my son has suffered. I said, he's got rights. He should be able to live in a safe environment. It's been physically unsafe for him from the staff and other residents. It's been emotionally unsafe. You got to be set off. It's too noisy. He's got to try to tolerate that because they don't try to modify or accommodate. Where is his rights? That's what I told the Department of Justice when I called them and got that message. I said, you know, because he matters. You know, they're talking about Black lives matter, and we are African American, but disabled lives matter too. But they're just thrown in a government facility and just forgotten. Oh, and let the state of Ohio. I said that's one of the most ludicrous, incompetent things to do, is for them to throw it back into a state of Ohio agency like Disability Rights Ohio, because they pick and choose who they want to go after. You know, they went after the school district, but they won't acknowledge anything that has happened at Columbus Developmental Center. But that's why the federal government needs to step in. They need to actually be the ones that investigate and clean house. Not no state agency, because it's a state of Ohio facility. And all of this stuff is basically federal violations. It's a violation of the Cripper Act. Um, they get federal funds. I don't think DOJ gives them funds, but I know Health and Human Services, Center Medicaid, and all of that, they get federal money to operate these state facilities. They're not operating it without the federal government's help or the federal government funds. So DOJ is obligated to go into an institution uh, and investigate, because I bet your bottom dollar if it's happening to my son, it's happening to other residents that are like him. And they have more than one developmental center in Ohio. I forgot how many they have, but they got several. But he's just forgotten. Like, throw him away, in the institution, and we don't want to hear nothing about it. So on this tape, you will hear my son just, and it breaks my heart as a mother. It really does. I said, because I ain't no mother should have to come in and see my son the way I've seen him, with all the injuries and unexplained scars and cuts and fresh wounds, and see his clothes all filthy and dirty, the few that they let him wear that I bought, and then him wearing other residents' clothes, and they're used and stained and too big or too small, and then he tells me, because my son is verbal, he's autistic, so his cognitive ability is not typical, but he's able to tell me how you've been treated and stuff, and I got to hear that stuff. But he's forgotten. They don't care nothing about him. Not nobody in that system care anything about it. And I'm thinking the federal government doesn't either. Because that's who's got to go in there and make it right. That's who's got to do it. And they should be doing it. Because they violating all kind of federal laws. I said, he's got a right to be able to live in a comfortable, safe environment and have clean clothes and be able to have healthy meals, and they fix something that he's going to eat, and because the basic human rights are not even there, let alone all the constitutional violations. He's been subjected to cruel and unusual punishment every time they tie him down to the bed. They took his life. He's unhappy. He can't go no place. We only had 60 minutes. He's been there for 2 years, and 3 years straight in a row he has missed Thanksgiving. He's going to miss Christmas too, so it'll be 3 years that he's going to miss Christmas. Only 60 minutes. He's not an inmate, and neither am I. But it's just pathetic. And I believe, as far as this racial thing, which is America's dirty secret, is not, sweep it under the rug, do the dirt and stuff. God is letting this stuff, because he's exposing things, and he's letting the whole world see how messed up this country is. And I'll say it to anybody in the federal government, because God is just letting it come out, because it's never been a country that really was based on equality. Some people's lives don't matter, and it's the outcome. That's the reason why you see the things happening that you see happening, and it's not just race. But I think people like my son, I think there's a lot of disabled people. Oh, they retarded, or they're autistic, or they don't matter. They put them in government facilities, and it's like they just throw away the key. Y'all do with any way you want to do with them, But I challenge anybody. But the Facebook page is there. Please view it. That's some of the evidence. That's not all. Then I also have a justice page. So without further ado, I always like to give a narrative. I just don't like to play a tape and people don't know the background. But I want people to know at least some of the background before they listen to the tape. So this is my son getting on the phone, and very, very upset before he got on the phone, ready to vent, which I encourage. I'm a RN actually, so I encourage my son to talk as much as he can. I'm very grateful to the Lord that he is verbal. There's autistic people that are not verbal and they can't tell you what's going on. And I'm just praising God, and I thank God that my son is able to tell me things. But some things he doesn't have to tell me. When I go over there, that's why I told the CDC staff. I said, because I can go over there and look at him and tell he's been abused and neglected, and uh, you know, uh, see all the different things that that is happening to him. I've seen scars on him. I've seen fresh wounds, fresh cuts, bruises. I can look at his hair and tell him, they haven't tried to help him um, shampoo his hair, because my son, he won't shampoo his hair in the shower because he's scared of water going down his eyes. Because I used to shampoo his hair in the shower, but I would help him, you know, because of the sensory. The water thing would really, kind of really getting very, very apprehensive. So he says he tried to shower his hair when they let him in the sink, and he can't really shower, get his hair clean like that. And so they don't want to assist him. It's just awful. It's just, I am so sick of this system. I say, this is a bunch of crooks. I said, all these people, and they're in important jobs, and they're all unfit. You got officers, the police officers, in these law enforcement agencies and police departments. There's that shouldn't be there. They don't have the personalities. They're unfit. They're prejudiced. They're this and that. And it's the same way. I mean, you just got a lot of people in important jobs, judges, the corrupt judges that are in me and my son's life, the slimy lawyers and stuff, And those are important jobs that's supposed to be ethical. Of all the professions you want, your so-called public services or servants, ethical, and they're not. They're just unfit, and they just happen through privilege to get their butts through school and get their license and everything else, but they're just as slimy. They're worse than any criminal out in the street because they're legalized criminals, and they got many more victims than a criminal out in the street. Because my son is a victim of legalized abuse, legalized neglect, legalized assault. And everybody has turned their head, not society, I'm talking about in the government, and that includes the federal government. But God's got this. Like I said, I'm a Christian. God has it. And my son's a Christian. And he is going to work. His purpose will be done in this. Because my son ain't going through what he's going through because he deserves it. He ain't done nothing to nobody. He's autistic. He don't want to be that way. And when he gets set off or goes into a meltdown, it's not his fault. That's why I told that boy yesterday, because I did call back twice because they hung up the phone. I called back and talked to the supervisor. And it was like, yeah, yes, ma'am, all right, I got to get off the phone. I said, well, I'm still trying to talk to you. And I need to let you know what's going on over there. And then I ended up calling again just to see how he was doing. And he said the staff did admit that they hung up the phone. I said, well, see, my son needs to express his feelings to me. He knows he can do that to his mother. And when you hang up the phone, he might think that I have done that. And I'm there for him. I don't want to never cut him off or shut him out. So I don't like how they try to put a wedge between me and my son's relationship. And he said, well, the staff said they did it, but, and I went over there, and there was another resident on the, they said it was the TV. I said, my son didn't say it was the TV on that tape. He was saying that it was too noisy, and he heard, cussing and stuff. And then he said, well, another resident was over there and he was real loud and all of that. So, what, 2 years. Why in the world are you going to admit an autistic person, have them as a resident there, and you're not going to accommodate them for their needs? Because if they're going to be set off morning, noon, and night, 7 days a week, they shouldn't be there. They had no, it was a very incompetent, illegal, dangerous placement to put him over there at CDC. That's a facility for mentally retarded people. It's an ICF for mentally retarded people. I mean, they had just stepped all over his rights. So, with that, let me get to this tape and let you hear what I'm talking about. I just uh, was just heartbroken, but I'm going to go ahead and play this and let you hear it. And of course, thank you for listening. And please visit both of my pages, Justice for Autistic Marquis and the Abuse and Neglect of Autistic Marquis by the Government. And here we go. Yeah, I want to talk to him.
Do it, Bobby Fox.
Oh, yes, this is Myra Tanksley. Oh, I hear my son in the background.
Hold on.
Yeah, I want to talk to him.
Hello?
Hi, Precious. How you doing?
Are you Myra?
Yes, I am. This is Mom.
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. And I call every day, and they let me talk to you today. So how you doing?
Well, I get on my last nerves all some of the time.
You doing what?
So I get on my last nerves, man.
Who?
Because everybody's noisy here.
It is?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And what I'm going to do is talk to you, and we're going to talk about all the stuff that we're going to do when you get back home, and we're going to talk about Jesus, and it's noisy there, but let's see if we
I
can get
can't wait to leave, man. I miss you.
And I miss you too. And you know what? That's coming. And you're going to be very, very blessed because you really was the man. You really, really hanged in there. And you know what?
What?
You're going to have that peace that we talked about, right? We can get it right now. Just like...
Okay, Myra.
Well,
I love you.
I love you too. You are coming back home. Mommy wants you back home. Jesus got that date. But let's also remember that whenever we feel kind of, uh, unhappy or bothered, can we get that peace that Jesus gave to the disciples?
I'm trying to get my peace, but it's hard, man.
It is kind of. Well, Jesus is the one that had to give it to you. So when that happens, you always call on to Jesus. You could just kind of like wake Jesus up. Let's wake him up. Say, Jesus, it's storming, it's noisy, it's loud. Jesus stands up and he says, don't be afraid, Myra. Don't be afraid, Marquis.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Is that what Jesus is saying? Everything ain't gonna be all right. I'm gonna bring you back home. You don't have to really let none of that bother you. It's not gonna hurt you. Think about me. Think about me as Jesus, as God. Get your peace. Put a smile on your face. Think about your future. You're coming home with your mom.
Yeah.
Is that what he's saying right now?
Huh?
Is that what he's saying? Is that what he's saying right now?
Guess what I heard, Myra? I heard people cussing at staff.
You could call me Mom.
Oh, Mom? Okay. I don't like people cussing at staff, that's why I don't
And when you hear cussing, you say, Jesus, I'm thinking about you. Because remember, everybody's not a Christian. Everybody doesn't know Jesus. You know him, they're cussing probably because they don't know Jesus.
He told me to calm down. Then he's then I'm not happy about that because I ain't calmed down yet.
Well, it's you just who told you that? What staff member?
He told me that, but he's not my friend no more. I'm telling you right now.
What's his name?
Hold on. What? Hey, stop. Okay, I'm talking to my mom on the phone.
Okay, there you have it. It was very important for my son and as an autistic resident, because you got to know how to care for and work with an autistic person, you know. And his need, let's just think of him as having a care plan or as a patient. His need at that time was to be able to verbalize and express his feelings to his mom on the phone. So that can escalate his behavior. And after that, what he said, after he said, I'm talking to my mom on the phone, they hung up the phone. They actually hung up the phone. So he probably might have just really, really um, escalated, because all of a sudden he's trying to get his feelings out. I'm trying to comfort him because I'm a victim in this too. And they end our phone call. And they shouldn't have ended the phone call because he needed to vent to his mother. I don't know why these idiots always think that Marquis is supposed to be calm. I, I can see why when he's venting, he's upset, he's loud. He's not going to be saying that calmly. He's going to be venting, and it's not going to be, oh, Mom, I just heard some cussing, and, I heard it's just noisy. He's not going to sound like that. You can hear how painful it is for him to be in that place. But these idiots think he's supposed to be calm. Then they think when he talks to me that he's supposed to just talk about what he wants for Christmas. And I said, that's not the way it is. He knows I love him unconditionally, and I encourage my son to talk to me and vent his feelings. And that's exactly what he does. And like I told that so-called supervisor over there, I said, if y'all would treat him right, maybe he wouldn't be so upset. If it wasn't an environment that he's forced to live in that's unsuitable, that's the word I really want to say. That place is unsuitable for my son because he's unhappy there. And I know all about how bad that place is and how the units are. Staff is always laughing. They always have the TV on. It's just like a jungle over there. It's like a playground. Other staff, they roam over there. They're goofing off and playing and laughing all loud. They have residents coming over there where, they're fraternizing with the residents and laughing and stuff. And that's just disaster for my son as an autistic individual. Because autistic people don't like a lot of noise. Well, at least my son doesn't. And it's just awful. It's just unsuitable. And the Department of Injustice has turned their head on this. You made my son, you have forgotten about my son as a victim, as a civil rights victim, as a human rights victim, as a constitutional rights victim. You're allowing the state of Ohio to abuse and neglect my son and others like him. Period. You are obligated to do something about this because those are federal rights that are being violated. You have a CRIPA Act that you have ignored as far as ensuring that my son get his rights. And plus, the federal government is getting money or giving them money. They are giving that state agency probably millions of dollars to help them run those abusive state facilities. So there you have it. Um, my son just had enough. It's too noisy. They talk to him mean. Um, they tell him to stop. They don't understand, why he's feeling the way he's feeling. They won't dare try to accommodate it. You know, uh, it's just awful. But I called the Department of Justice, Injustice, and left a message. I said, well, I want to know why my son has to live like this. Because I can't take him out of there. If I could, I would. You know. But forget all of that. Why do you allow a facility to operate like this and abuse residents and neglect them and assault them? You're just a failure. And that's why I would say I'm getting ready to let this go, but that's why I said what I said earlier. I know you got problems with law enforcement. This country is a very racist country. It's been that way since 1776. You got problems with people denying it, won't acknowledge it. They won't acknowledge the truth. But you can't really change racism with laws anyway, because it comes from the heart. Like the Bible says, it has to be changed from the heart. But that's a mindset since 1776 about the differences of people and who has a more worth as a human being versus another human being. The 3/5 of a human being, that sort of thing. And came all the way down through the ages and generations and ever since this country was born. And it still persists. So you got those attitudes, you got those mindsets and practices in law enforcement. But I'm saying, like I said earlier, the legal department, because you don't have to die for somebody to take your life and put your life in a situation where, and I hate to say this as a Christian, but I'm talking about other people. There's people in prison that are innocent. I wish they were dead, because the government had actually, and when I say government, these judges, attorneys, they're all government workers. They're government officials. They're corrupt, but they're government officials. But they have, did malicious prosecutions, or just got an innocent person convicted, and so their lives are, their rights are taken away from them. Their freedom and everything. And that's why I say what I say about this legal system. It is a total disgrace. And I no longer can look at a flag, a United States of America flag, and say the Pledge of Allegiance, because it's a lie. My son ain't got no life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and he sure ain't had no justice. I just, at this point in my life, and especially since that's my child that's suffering, I can't say that. I'm not going to say it. I'm going to be true to reality. I'm not going to sit up there and recite a pledge that's a lie. And it's a lie for a lot of people, but it sure been a lie for my son. And it's been a lie for me too, because I'm a victim as a mother. I had to go in there. I can't spend a lot of time with my son. I ain't done nothing to those people except for spoke up and fight for my son's rights. I said, because I'm not the kind that I'm not part of the system. I'm not just going to sweep it under the rug. I'm not going to let it go. But I have to be subjected to losing the companionship of my son. That's my child. And I got to go in there and see him suffering physically, emotionally, No, I'm not going to let it go. And I challenge any slimy lawyers, because I don't have no respect for that. Unless you're a civil rights lawyer, I said, but the scum we got in our lives, going in and abuse their powers, turn their head, because when you abuse a helpless person, you just put them slime. And like I have told them, I said, well, anybody that tries to cover that up and denies it, it's just as guilty as a person actually doing it themselves. I told that so-called investigator, Scott Flynn, that. I said, oh, please. Everybody in this facility knows those residents, how those residents are treated and that they're abused. And I said, and y'all covering it up. Y'all guilty to me. The whole system is guilty. And that's the reason why you don't have those indictments with that Eric Garner case. Because the legal system is messed up. You got these scummy, slimy pieces of lawyers, or prosecutors in that case, and you'd be surprised how they hold back on stuff. But it's just a disgrace. But this is one sick, hypocritical country, and my son is a forgotten victim, but I'm going to vow and keep vowing like I vow in the past, and I'll vow again today to not let up. I want justice for my son. I know Jesus will release him, because God likes to show up in situations like this and let everybody know that he's in charge, especially when you're dealing with a Christian. But I know he doesn't want this stuff swept under the rug. And that's why I told one of those workers over there, I said, I'm not part of your system. I'm not going to sweep this thing under the rug like you all do. Because God can work through anybody, whether you think they're worth it or not. He can work through anybody, and his purpose will be done. So I thank you for listening. And this will be also on the Facebook pages. Please check out the rest of the videos or audio videos in my YouTube channel. Pray for everyone. Pray for the USA, because this place, the world is going down. That includes the USA. It's not just the Middle East and all this kind of stuff, or Africa. It's in this country too. So I just don't want my son's life to be forgotten. Just throw him in a state institution and throw away the key. Disabled lives matter as well. Thank you for listening.